The room is loud with clever voices, but decisions travel in silence along a narrow road. You used to shout from the shoulder, waving proposals as cars sped past. Today you step into the toll booth and lower the barrier. You do not beg for attention. You charge for passage. The budget request, the launch date, the guest list, the merger note, each must pass where you stand. The chatter fades because volume never beats location. You become the point where movement either happens or stops, and momentum begins to obey you. Attention is a toll road. In an office, this means you control intake. You create one doorway with required fields and firm deadlines. No form, no work. In a startup, you own the release checklist. Nothing ships until your green light appears on the page. At an event, you run the calendar and seating. No microphone without you. You stop auditioning in hallways and start collecting tickets at the choke point. People learn your lane because it is the only lane that never loses paperwork and never forgets who promised what by when. You are no longer the person shouting ideas. You are the person through whom ideas become real. Desire is engineered. People want what reduces risk and time. If you become the shortest path to a clean result, they come to you willingly. Reliability beats charm when deadlines breathe down necks. A founder does not care that you are fascinating. She cares that signed documents return within 2 hours and that blockers escalate before they explode. A producer does not crave your opinions. She wants your dashboard to predict tomorrow's problems today. You stop angling for compliments and start removing uncertainty. The line forms in front of you because you are the least risky way forward. This is how nobodies become necessary. They stand where the stream narrows and make passage safer. You are not louder, you are nearer to the lever. You do not collect friends, you collect dependencies. The question in every room shifts from, do we like you, to can we move without you? When the honest answer becomes no, rank changes without ceremony. Power arrives in plain clothes, checklists, version numbers, key rings, locked cabinets, opened exactly on time. Your signature is not a flourish, it is the gate lifting, from favor seeker to gate. Map the flows. Where do requests enter? Who approves money? Who controls time? Who signs off on quality? Draw the diagram until it hurts. Stand at the choke points you can earn. Calendar hub, QA signer, access coordinator, integrator of reports. Offer predictable service, clear forms, fixed windows, crisp summaries, same-day confirmations. Then price access with reciprocity. Introductions earn priority. Misses trigger queue resets. Loyalty gets early warnings, and repeat offenders wait. You do not argue, you schedule. You do not complain, you revise the lane. People adjust because systems outlast moods. You will be told this is political. They are right. Life is a city, not a meadow, and cities run on streets. Streets need rules. You are not unkind when you refuse side doors. You are protecting time from theft. You are not arrogant when you send people to the form. You are protecting fairness from favorites. When location serves the mission, authority feels like relief. People exhale when the gatekeeper is predictable, because predictability lowers their anxiety and the cost of doing business. Your presence stops being noise and starts being order. The shift is simple, not easy. Stop chasing eyes. Start owning routes. Stop decorating the sign. Start strengthening the hinge. Make yourself the shortest, safest path between problem and outcome. When the road depends on you, you will not need to raise your voice. The city will find your booth in the dark, and the dark will learn your hours. This is positioning, not a personality change, but a placement change that rewires how others succeed. Be the gate, and traffic becomes testimony. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you are. You were told that great work speaks for itself. It does not. In real politics, work is mute until you give it a mouth. Silent excellence is mispriced because valuation is social, not sacred. People pay for what they can see, repeat, and attribute. If the proof lives in your hard drive, it does not live in the room where budgets are set, so you choreograph proof. Start before the work is finished. Circulate a one-page pre-read 48 hours ahead. The problem, the stakes, the baseline metric, the target, make the decision maker, initial it, so ownership is public. Now a scoreboard exists before the game. Build an update loop, a brief weekly touchpoint, where you present deltas, cycle time from 12H to 9H. Next milestone 7H by Friday. Use visible dashboards that compress weeks into one glance. Pair numbers with 2 sentences any sponsor can repeat. Then install a credit protocol, name contributors in the artifact, CC the approver on the commit, and mark an owner of record in every ticket. No orphaned wins. No invisible labor. Proof must be choreographed, not discovered. In the office, the loud presenter often wins over the quiet solver. Fix the economics. Schedule demos at the moment of highest appetite, end of sprint. Fiscal close, customer meeting, bring a user quote and a stopwatch. If your work is back-end, bring the front end that reveals it, a latency test, a queue emptying on camera, a before-after bill. In a community project, don't just feed families. Publish a 60-second recap with counts, partners, and next week's target. Tag people who can amplify. Your rule becomes simple. No result without witnesses. No witnesses without dates. No dates without names. The crowd needs scenes, give them scenes. Second myth, being nice builds loyalty. Warmth is welcome, costless access is contemptible. Uncontrolled helpfulness trains people to delay, to dump, to disappear. When everything is sure I can do that, you become the overflow bin for other people's planning failures. They will praise your heart while spending your hours. In strategy, kindness must travel with edges. Separate warmth from availability, define time windows. I'm available 3-4 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays for ad hoc help book here. Guard the rest like a budget line. Use scope fences. Happy to review the deck for 20 minutes. Deeper edit is a paid engagement or gets scheduled next sprint. When you agree to help, document the deliverable, the owner, and the deadline in 3 lines. If inputs slip, your work pauses automatically. I'll resume once assets arrive. Updated ETA follows. Then people adapt fast to boundaries that repeat. Your yes becomes reliable because your no is reliable. In a startup, the nice engineer absorbs every on-call swap and last-minute request. He thinks he is building goodwill. He is building a shadow contract where he is always available. 6 months later, he is indispensable and invisible because he rescued systems instead of designing ones. Another engineer is kind with edges. She writes the runbook, rotates on-call by policy, and declines unplanned features that blow up timelines. She is promoted because her effort produces durable structure and her boundaries produce predictable outcomes. Kindness is still present. Exploitation is not. Third myth, saying yes creates opportunity. In markets, yes is your commodity. Price it or it will be harvested. Reflexive yes dilutes scarcity and invites worse requests. You are not a gatekeeper if your gate is always open. Make acceptance conditional on clear terms, so each yes raises future demand. Adopt the rule, qualify, calendar, collateral. First qualify, ask for purpose, outcome, and constraints in one short paragraph. People who cannot answer are seeking your energy to mask their uncertainty. Decline or convert to paid discovery. Second, calendar. Place the work in time with buffers. I can deliver Wednesday. I need the brief by Monday 3 p.m. A yes without a date is a mortgage without terms. Third, collateral. Tie the yes to stakes payment, mutual promotion, data access, or a signed commitment on resources you do not control. If the other side balks at collateral, they were shopping for a free sample, not a partnership. In the office, when a leader asks you to spin up a quick analysis, qualify it. Which metric decides the choice? Who is the audience? What's the latest I can deliver and still be useful? Half of these requests vanish under their own vagueness. The rest become work that matters, now protected by timeline and scope. Online, when a stranger wants to pick your brain, set the path 15-minute call next week. Here's the link. Longer consults are billed. Here's the prep doc I'll need. You remain open, but on terms you define. Your yes becomes a contract, not a reflex. Thread these mechanics into your week. Issue pre-reads before effort, loops during effort, and proof after effort. Keep kindness, attach edges, turn yes from reflex into agreement. You will notice the shift. Fewer frantic pings, fewer ghosted favors, more inbound from people who can state what they want and pay what it costs. Your leverage rises because your effort is staged, your warmth is priced, and your scarcity is believable. Those who loved your free labor will sulk. Those who value outcomes will stay. This is not cynicism. It is hygiene. Great work deserves witnesses, not whispers. Kindness deserves fences, not exhaustion. Opportunity deserves terms, not hope. You convert effort into leverage by making the room see, schedule, and pay. In a noisy square, the lighthouse is not the tallest candle. It is the one with structure around its flame. Stage the proof, edge the kindness, and make every yes earn the next. Power is a stage, but the script is written backstage by your appetites, your alarms, and your grudges. Rivals do not need to outbuild you. They need only to outhandle your needs. If you do not rule them, they will rule you, and your positioning will wobble like a banner in a borrowed wind. Approval hunger is the first saboteur. Praise feels like fuel, yet it burns dirty and leaves you coughing. You chase compliments and wake up volunteering for low-value tasks because they guarantee quick gratitude. You drift into public overexposure, mistaking visibility for influence, and hand your rivals a map of your movements. The crowd claps, and you spend the afternoon answering shallow messages instead of making deep progress. Your brand becomes a promise of availability, not a record of results. See it clearly. A founder posts threads every day, jumps on every podcast, and agrees to quick favors that cost whole mornings. She becomes the friendly expert, always reachable, rarely formidable. Meanwhile, a competitor says little, ships twice, and captures the decisive reference customer. The market begins to whisper a verdict. One is popular, the other is necessary. Positioning is gravity, attention is weather. Detach status from compliments and attach it to deliverables. Replace the public scoreboard with a private one. Track shipped outcomes, features launched, contracts closed, margin improved, cycle time shortened, defect rate reduced, customers retained, playbooks made repeatable. Tie your weekly calendar to those metrics with ruthless loyalty. If a request does not move one of the needles you have chosen, decline or delegate, post less, deliver more. When you do speak, publish evidence, not appetite. Before saying yes to anything public, ask 3 questions. Does this strengthen a core proof? Does it amplify a customer's success rather than my personality? Can someone else on the team own it to build institutional depth? If any answer is no, pass. The applause you forgo now returns later as pricing power. Next, FOMO and scatter. Chasing every room erases depth and dissolves leverage. You accept invitations because the room looks important, or worse, because you imagine the one conversation that will change everything. You rotate through circles like a comet and leave no tide. This is how promising people become vague brands, always present, never pivotal. Install a core lane filter. Your strategy needs a choke point, a role or capability so central that others must route through you. Define it plainly. We are the fastest integrator for X, or we own the distribution to Y, or we set the benchmark for Z. Attend only if the room strengthens the choke point or an essential alliance that feeds it. Decline politely when the event flatters your ego but starves your position. Imagine 2 calendars. Calendar A is packed. Breakfast with influencers, panels on unrelated trends, DMs with journalists, side projects to stay relevant. Calendar B is austere. Technical councils where standards are set, standing meetings with top customers, focused sessions with partners who control a channel, deep work to harden the product and onboarding. One calendar produces photos, the other produces power. Choose the lane that accrues gravity. When you enforce the lane, you gain a strange advantage: scarcity. Your absence starts to speak. If they are here, something is happening. Rooms adjust to your terms because they want the asset you guard. Instead of sprinting to rooms, you make rooms come to you. A river becomes strong because its banks refuse to wander. Third, gatekeeper spite. You know the feeling an institution blocks you, a committee delays you, a reviewer dismisses you. Resentment rises like heat and seeks a microphone. You craft public takedowns, mock the process, and paint the gate as corrupt. The performance wins sympathy, but burns bridges you might need. Worse, it telegraphs to competitors that you are governed by provocation. They let the gate hold you while they walk around it. Reframe the urge into patient acquisition of leverage. Learn the gate, serve the gate, become the gate. First, learn it. Study criteria, timing, unwritten rules, and the real deciders behind the deciders. Second, serve it. Deliver something the gate quietly needs. Clean data, compliant documentation, a pilot that reduces their risk, a coalition that lowers their political cost. Third, become it. Build parallel channels, accreditation, a reference network, a practitioner newsletter, a small standard the market begins to need. Consider the creative who blasts a festival for rejecting her film. The thread goes viral. The bridges crumble. Now picture a disciplined route. She asks for rubric clarity, runs a micro-screening where actual curators attend, gathers feedback and ships a tighter cut. She partners with a niche platform, becomes the curator for a monthly series, and grows an audience that festivals want to attract. Next season, the invite arrives, not as mercy, but as math. Discipline your speech as if it were currency, because it is. A public complaint spends the coin of attention on heat. A measured memo spends it on terms. Before you fire a post across the wall, check position. Will this create leverage within 90 days? Will it cost an alliance I might need within a year? Could silence buy me an hour to move a piece that matters? If the answer favors patience, hold. All three wounds, approval, hunger, FOMO, and gatekeeper spite, produce the same operational failure. You move on their schedule. They bait you with compliments to make you busy, with invitations to make you scattered, with slights to make you noisy. You become a responsive brand. Responsive brands do not set price, they accept it. Choose sovereignty. Build a private scoreboard and let it govern your calendar. Enforce the core lane until the market recognizes your choke point. Treat every gate as a map to study, a need to serve, and a chair you plan to occupy. Reward teammates who say no cleanly, who deepen the asset, who convert friction into process. Make quiet competence, the house style. Remember, power compounds only where choices compound. One careful refusal can save 10 repairs. One deep alliance can outproduce 100 handshakes. One standard you write can outvote 1,000 tweets. Let others chase mention. You chase mechanism. The throne is not at the center of the room, it is at the center of the system. Hold your posture when the bait jingles. Smile without yielding. Decline without drama. Learn without groveling. Build without broadcasting. When you finally speak, you will not be asking to be seen. You will be stating terms the market already follows. Speak rarely, deliver repeatedly, and become the gate your rivals once guarded. Power decays first in the promises you make to feel safe. You want relief, not results. A wound opens and strategy bleeds through it. You say yes to every hand, nod to every room, soften your spine so people won't press the bruise. It works for an hour. Then the bill arrives. Doors that were half open begin to slide shut. The world is not punishing you. It is pricing you. When wounds run your moves, the price is unreliability, and markets pay less for that every day. Overpromise, underposition. It begins with one piece of content you meant as medicine. A viral apology post, a long thread, a video film too close to the hurt. You promise reform, transparency, access, everything at once. You trade scarcity for applause. The crowd claps. Vendors bookmark. Rivals screenshot. You have announced a sale on your time, your boundaries, your brand. Meanwhile, deadlines slip. Reviews are missed. Deliverables arrive with dents. You explain the dents with feeling. Institutions do not feel. They tabulate. Scattered presence becomes a spreadsheet of risk. The costs compound. A late deliverable forces a rushed review. The rushed review introduces errors. The errors require a second apology. The second apology trains the audience to expect a third. Your calendar looks full, but your position in the market is empty. You are visible without gravity. People can find you in every thread except the one that ships. The pain is physical. You wake at 4 with the taste of metal behind your teeth and answer emails that should have been solved on a whiteboard last month. The wound asks for more talking. Power asks for fewer, cleaner moves. You try to pay the invoice with speeches. You promise speed to one client, caution to another, exclusivity to both. The contradictions hide in separate rooms until someone compares notes. Then your brand is not kindness, it is unreliability in a friendly voice. We'll make it right reads as we'll make it late. The wound wants to be liked, so it multiplies promises. Power wants to be believed, so it keeps promises small and exact. Coalitions decay next. Allies drift because your value is hard to find under the noise. They still admire your talent. They no longer trust your controls. A partner who once relayed you into every tender now waits for a stability plan. A lieutenant who fought for your roadmap reroutes headcount to the quiet team that delivers without ceremony. They do not hold a meeting to break with you. They simply stop using your name to solve problems. Your surface area of trust shrinks to the size of whatever you shipped last week. Neutrals prefer clearer vendors. Procurement learns they can get 90% of your spark with far more predictability elsewhere. They choose the steady firm with dull branding because dull branding does not pull fire alarms. Their emails lengthen, their circling back gains weeks. Your forecast turns to fog. Meanwhile, rivals recast you as chaos with surgical calm. They do not smear you loudly. They rehearse a sentence, "We're not the most creative, but you will sleep." Buyers repeat that sentence to their bosses because it travels cleanly through committees. Study the mechanics. Emotional decisions shrink the surface area of trust. Every reactive outburst closes a palm that used to open. Each contradictory promise subtracts a cosigner. Each scattered commitment narrows the corridor you can walk without bumping into your own words. Coalitions don't collapse in headlines. They erode in logistics: fewer intros, smaller rooms, later time slots, shorter calls. Influence is measured in calendar entries, not compliments. Consider contemporary cases. A startup founder floods social with vows after a harsh review. Daily updates, full access, DM me anytime. The timeline cheers. 3 enterprise prospects request sandboxes. The team cannot provision with quality. Security flags, onboarding stalls, and the applause converts into churn. A campaign manager promises both no layoffs and agile restructuring across 2 town halls. Volunteers hear both. Donors hear neither. The weekend canvas arrives understaffed. A studio head vows to never miss another date, while approving mid-scope pivots to regain momentum. The result is a release that hits the calendar and misses the mark. The pattern is the punishment. Scattered commitments create scattered returns. Then the narrative hardens. Committees do not read your soul. They file your legend. Nice but noisy. Fast but flaky. Great deck, thin follow-through. These lines travel faster than your corrections because they are cheap to repeat. A coordinator slots you late in the agenda where attention dies. A lender tightens terms because of recent volatility. A board adds a layer called assurance that siphons time from your only defense: execution. You write a new manifesto, the sentence beats it in every hallway because it costs nothing to believe and something to revise. Understand why the sentence wins: it saves energy. Bureaucracies prefer a one-line risk model over a 3-page nuance. Busy people lean on prior beliefs to free their day. Even allies will deploy the line when defending their own time. Let's not hinge on them. They're great but inconsistent. Pre-commitment is your only antidote. You cannot charm a label off. You can only make it too expensive to keep by becoming unignorably exact. Adopt positioning routines that refuse the wound its favorite toy: immediacy. Define scope in boring language before you sign anything. Publish a service level you can meet on your worst day. If an apology is required, pair it with a dated, measurable make good, and then stop talking. Schedule reviews you never miss, even if the agenda is no updates yet. Build a red team to hunt contradictions before the market does. Choose one promise per audience and repeat it until you are sick of hearing yourself. Repetition is not vanity. It is scaffolding for trust. Make your presence hard to scatter. One channel for commitments, one owner per delivery, one weekly checkpoint where silence is not permitted. If you must say no, say it early and in writing. If you must say yes, write the boundary next to the yes in the same breath. Train your team to default to calm templates under heat. Templates are not weakness. They are leashes on your panic. Precision will feel smaller than your talent. That is the point. Small and kept beats grand and broken. Practice subtraction. Kill offerings that generate applause without margin. Retire scripts that harvest sympathy, but not signatures. Replace "we'll make it right" with "here is the date." Replace "trust us" with "track us." When the wound begs to overextend, Remember that burned goodwill does not regenerate on schedule. The market forgives misses delivered with proof of control. It forgets triumphs delivered with proof of chaos. The climb back is unglamorous. 3 clean quarters, meetings that start on time and end early, releases that land without fireworks, a competitor fails loudly while you succeed quietly, and rooms reprice you without fanfare. The old line softens to reliable lately, then to reliable. No one congratulates you. That is how you know the narrative has changed. Your consistency is invisible again because it cost no one anything to believe. You are not your wound. You are the agreements you keep under pressure. If you must bleed, bleed in private and never on the contract. Aim smaller, deliver sharper, and let boredom carry your reputation where charisma could not. Doors reopen not to apologies but to predictability, wearing a plain suit and a watch that keeps time. Promise less, position hard, deliver exact. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one of the two must be lacking. You were taught to chase approval. You learned to read faces, smooth edges, and wait for kindness to open doors. But power does not answer to charm. It answers to necessity. Replace the fantasy of being admired with the discipline of being required. Respect appears when 2 beliefs fix in people's minds. You deliver predictable benefit and you can enforce predictable cost. When that math is visible, opinions become weather and your presence becomes infrastructure. Required beats light. Necessity sits where speed, accuracy, and access intersect. If you move faster than the storm, you are required. If you deliver the right answer the first time, you are required. If you hold the gate between people and resources, you are required. The scheduler is required because the calendar is a battlefield, and one hand must hold the map. The integrator is required because scattered parts fail until a single spine holds them. The introducer is required because networks move only when someone trustworthy joins the wires. Make it concrete. In a small company, you take custody of the timeline. Stand-ups start on your clock. Decisions land on your ledger. Release dates live on your wall. When someone slips, you reorder the queue without raising your voice. Within 2 cycles, people stop asking if you are okay with this and start asking, where does this fit? Your esteem rises not because they adore you, but because life without you becomes slower, messier, riskier. Required beats liked every time. In a client business, you become the integrator. You read the contract, the tech spec, and the quiet politics between them, then stitch them into one workflow. You catch mismatched definitions, missing owners, and silent deadlines. After 2 clean deliveries, you propose a retainer. They accept because speed plus accuracy plus access feels like oxygen. Admiration is optional, oxygen is not. Policy beats personality. Systems outlast moods and survive rooms you never enter. Define service levels, priority channel in 4 hours, email in 24, proposals in 48. Publish these windows and meet them with boring precision. Map escalation paths, friendly reminder, written expectation with date, reassign or reduce scope, replace, announce once, then execute exactly. Dependence on you becomes safe because it is measurable. Build an audit trail that makes memory honest. Keep a decision log with the date, the choice, the owner, the deadline, and the risk. Store agreements in a shared location with version numbers and timestamps. When disputes arise, you do not argue the past. You open the book. Drama dies in the light of records. Teams discover that working with you reduces uncertainty and deletes excuses. Your calm begins to look like authority. It is actually architecture. Set service rhythms that turn steadiness into routine. Weekly pulse to correct course. Monthly review to adjust resources. Quarterly reset for strategy. The cadence is a metronome. It makes excellence ordinary. You stop selling reassurance and start delivering predictability. People stop testing your boundaries because the rails are visible and the penalties are dull. Etiquette becomes scaffolding for credibility. Small symbols, big gravity. Signals teach faster than lectures. Seating is a vector. You choose the chair with a clear view of the door and the board. Your deputy sits at your right. The operator within eye line, guests opposite the decision line. The map says, information flows this way. Agenda control is quiet power. You release the agenda 24 hours early, label each item with a decision verb, and end with a summary that assigns owner and date. Meetings shrink, clarity grows, and people stop relitigating decisions made last week. Own the version. Every document carries a version stamp and a single steward. Often you edits route through the steward. Decisions reference the latest version only. Chaos from final_v7_real disappears because your signature on v2, the 14th of May is the anchor. Release notes become your crown without jewels, small, exact, and public. Each change lists what altered, why it altered, who is affected, and by when. The crowd stops arguing feelings and starts reading notes. Handshake length, literal or digital, carries signal. 2 beats, firm release. In remote rooms, your handshake is the opening line. We have 40 minutes, we will leave with 3 decisions. Email brevity doubles as posture. Subject lines carry verbs and dates. Bodies hold context. Decision, next step in that order. You do not write to impress, you write to move. Elegance is economy. Examples burn lessons into habit. A stakeholder jokes at your expense in a public stand-up. You don't spar, you restate the standard, we keep humor off deliverables. Then you continue the agenda and after the call, reduce their access 1 tier for a week. Predictable penalty. A crisis hits production. You publish a 2-paragraph update, issue, impact, mitigation, next update time. You follow it on the minute. Predictable benefit. The room calms because the rails carry the train. In time, you become the node people route through, not because you smile best, but because you connect best. Not because you promise everything, but because what you promise arrives. Respect, in practice, is the market concluding that life is better when you are in the loop and costly when you are not. The fantasy was admiration. The discipline is requirement. Confidence grows as the dividend of design predictability, and credibility hardens into habit. Be required, deliver on time, guard the gate, price the trespass. You move from invisible to inevitable by mastering position, not applause. You stop chasing attention and stand where the streams must pass. From there, you convert motion into mandate. 4 steps: locate, lock, leverage, ledger, done weekly until the room cannot function without you. Locate by mapping the flows. Treat the organization like pipelines, not personalities. Who approves budgets, merges code, schedules meetings, signs off on shipping. Put names next to each choke point and record when decisions actually occur. Draw a topology map with 3 columns: decider, doorkeeper, deadline. Add dependencies: legal before procurement, security before launch, QA before marketing. Mark the hidden valves: the assistant who owns calendars, the moderator who sets agenda order, the analyst whose dashboards decide what becomes real in the debrief. Capture formats: not just faces. Some doors open for memos, others for demos, others for dashboards. The point is not friendship, the point is flow. Checklist for locating: list 10 recurring decisions and the exact windows when they happen. Record the format each requires: memo, dashboard, demo. Identify the 3 bottlenecks that stall most work. Add 1 column labeled My Insertion, the smallest act that places you at each bottleneck before anyone asks. A template, a calendar block, a pre-read file, scripts that reveal flows without sounding needy. What exact artifact gets this approved fastest? Whose calendar defines the week? If something slips, where does it first become visible? Your map is a pipeline drawing. Personality is a footnote. Lock by standing at the gate. Claim a role that all paths cross. Intake coordinator, QA signer, calendar hub, data integrator. Do not beg for the title. Build the function and publish the rules. Post SLAs and checklists. So traffic prefers your lane because it is safer and faster. Submit briefs by Tuesday noon, responses by Thursday 4 p.m. Publish ready by Monday 10 a.m. For code merge requests reviewed daily at 3. Security checklist attached. Rollback plan required. For events agenda items, to the coordinator by Wednesday noon. Speaking order posted Friday. Make 1 simple intake. What, by when, by whom. Route ambiguous asks to a 15-minute discovery call that ends with a date and an owner. Become the person who reduces anxiety. Because your lane never leaves people guessing. Calm authority is your shield. We run one gate so quality is predictable. Use the checklist, you'll move faster than anywhere else. Penalties for the gate are posted in plain sight. Submissions without the checklist return unreviewed. Late arrivals drop to the next cycle. Skip tests reset the queue. This is not cruelty. It is a promise to the punctual. Over 2 cycles, the market shifts. People design their work to match your lane because that is where outcomes become reliable. Your voice stays even, the rules do the talking. Leverage by trading on speed and certainty. Allies who feed the lane with clean inputs receive priority handling. Offer a named fast lane for partners who deliver on time 3 times in a row. Priority A 48-hour turnaround. Priority B standard. Priority C discovery only. Trade value like a merchant. Introductions to key deciders. Early insights from dashboards. Calendar slots at crunch time. Every trade is written, not whispered. You'll receive an early audit Friday. In exchange, send your supporting document by noon. Enforce costs for misses without heat. Late inputs revert to standard. 2 misses in a quarter move to C until the pattern repairs. Scope cuts are the natural tax for delay. Given the slip, we ship without feature 2 and revisit next sprint. If someone tries to jump the queue with urgency theater, counter with structure, name the consequence of waiting and the decision owner. If both are clear, I'll open the fast lane. Precision keeps goodwill. Over time, your speed becomes a currency others choose to hold. Ledger is the quiet engine. Remember and reward. Keep a running ledger of favors granted, hits delivered, misses incurred, and follow-ups promised. 4 fields are enough. Name, event, date, outcome. Tag each with credit, repair, or watch. Thank publicly when someone plays by the rules. Fatima delivered the brief early. Her format cut review time in half. Anchor the praise in the minutes so it lives on paper, not air. Correct privately once, specific breach, specific remedy, specific date on a second breach. Deliver daylight clarity. The rule is restated to the group without venom, and the consequence is scheduled quarterly. Adjust access tiers. A for reliable partners, B for ordinary, C for chronic drags who must rebuild trust. The ledger is not revenge. It is memory turned into policy. It stops you from over-rewarding charm and under-rewarding rigor. When a deal closes, note who showed up prepared and who invented emergencies. Your future doors open accordingly, and no one has to guess why. Scripts and rituals remove hesitation. Yes, with conditions. Yes, if the checklist is complete by Tuesday, I confirm by Thursday. No, with doorways. No to this sprint, a pilot next week with 2 metrics, or B, full build next month with budget locked. Handoff. Ownership moves to you at 3 p.m. I remain available for 15 minutes. After that, changes enter the next cycle. Escalation. We are past the SLA. Choose extend the deadline 48 hours or drop feature 2. I'll implement whichever you choose. Boundary to flattery. Appreciated. Let's keep it tied to metrics. Boundary to guilt. I keep promises by not adding new ones midstream. These lines are short, calm, and repeatable. Delivery is steady breath and a small nod. Weekly cadence keeps position alive. Monday, scan the topology map, update names or windows that shifted, and pre-book discovery calls for ambiguous work. Wednesday, audit the queue for jams and send 2 interventions. 1 unblock, 1 policy reminder. Friday, run a 15-minute ledger review. 2 thank yous. 1 correction, 1 rule to tighten. Publish a short gate bulletin, what flowed, where it jammed, what changes Monday. Once a month, hold a brief how the gate works session for newcomers. Transparency is your ally because your rules protect them too. 2 short stories. In a software team, you claim the QA signer role. You publish a checklist, run daily reviews at 3 p.m., and enforce queue resets on misses. After 2 weeks, engineers plan to your clock. Releases stop slipping, your name becomes part of the ship plan. In a nonprofit, you become the calendar hub. Intake runs Mondays. Final approvals happen Thursdays. Donor calls book through your form. Board members learn that your lane turns ideas into events without panic. Donations rise because execution stops burning staff. Start from zero by starting tiny. Map 1 flow this week. hiring, or releases. Claim one gate, publish one SLA, offer one priority lane to one ally, keep one ledger on one page. Next week, widen by one circle. Ignore the part of you that wants applause for the announcement. Seek the gratitude that comes when chaos shrinks. Measure success by reduced firefighting and smoother handoffs. If meetings end on time and people stop DMing you at midnight, the system is working. The system moves you from nobody to necessary because you stand where outcomes are born and you make that place calm. People may disagree with you and still depend on you. That is power, usefulness wrapped in predictability, priced by rules. You will stop auditioning for access. Access will line up at your desk, steady hands, simple rules, clean records. The rest is gravity. Stand at the gate, run the clock, write the ledger. You do not beg for calm. You place yourself where calm becomes useful. When your lane is visible and fast, decisions learn to find you. The room does not stall to ask for permission. It reaches for your desk because your desk ends problems. Your calendar breathes, blocks with space around them, calls at the same hour, work stacked in clean sequences. You answer like a well-tuned engine. No theatrics, only throughput. A partner pings you first because your last 3 turnarounds were on time and under noise. A client reroutes approvals to you because your yes means delivery and your no is brief and reasoned. Recruiters send fit instead of volume because your requirements are public and consistent. You stop pleading for chances. Pull replaces plea. Your outcomes begin to compound because the stream feeds your mill in order. Necessity becomes humane when it is predictable. You publish your intake, what you do, when you do it, what inputs you require. You keep a shared tracker, not a mythical inbox. People begin to shape their requests to your design because it saves them time. Your lane is trusted because its edges are real. You cut waste without drawing blood. You measure by completed loops, not heroic stories. Meetings shrink. Email storms die in the filter called form. Stress becomes a visitor, not a tenant. You acquire the quiet call, the message that arrives early, during draft, when influence is lightest and payoff is largest, because smart people would rather be corrected in private than rescued in public. Your calm is now part of their survival strategy. Mercy with memory guards this piece from rotting into cold law. You forgive once in private. A teammate misses a deadline. You close the door, lay the facts on the table, and agree on restitution. New timeline, swap task, midweek checkpoint. You protect their face so their effort can return with dignity. You reward loyalty in public. You name the analyst who carried the data across the finish line, the assistant who kept the meeting clean, the engineer who refused panic and shipped. Praise is precise, not syrup. It tells the whole room, this is how we win here. And you keep patterns on record, not to nurse grudges. Grudges are expensive, but to recognize recurrence. When the same failure knocks a second time, you act without anger and without delay. Scope reduced, authority limited, or seat reassigned. Your ledger is calm. It protects the circle from noise disguised as personality. This balance, grace with edge, filters your alliances. Better people rise to the rules, because rules are the shortest path to pride. The unserious drift away, the serious multiply. Vendors propose fair terms before negotiation because you close clean and paid fast. Colleagues share bad news early because they trust you will cut, not slash. The air in the room warms without losing shape. You remain human without being soft. From node to network, you now scale the quiet. You train a deputy to mirror your lane. Same intake, same checkpoints, same tone. You do not hoard competence, you franchise it. Your deputy learns to issue decisions on schedule, to reward in daylight, to correct in private, to log everything once and never twice. You standardize your checklist so quality becomes contagious. Definitions of ready, definitions of done, escalation paths with clear thresholds. The method stops living only in your spine and starts living in the rails. Then you extend your lane to new arenas. The same rhythm that moves a product can clean a studio, run a classroom, or stabilize a household. Rituals travel. Chaos does not. You become known not just for fixing things, but for preventing fires at the blueprint. Necessity becomes infrastructure, calendar blocks that other calendars learn to copy, templates that partners request, memos that turn into policy. Rooms call you in early because your presence shrinks the cost of being wrong. The network grows capable of peace because your code is exportable. Stand in the corridor you have built, entrances measured, exits clean, decisions on schedule. Outside, noise throws pebbles at the windows. Inside, work moves along rails you laid when the sky was blue. You are not the loudest, you are the most legible. Fewer pleas, more pull. Fewer detours, more arrivals. Your placement simplifies other lives, and so they defend your placement. Place well, move clean, compound quietly.